All right, so you're ready to get started in a cybersecurity career as a SOC analyst, but you don't have any on-the-job experience. You don't have any experience at all in a SIEM, and you're wondering, where do you get that? Well, today we're going to set up a SIEM, which is that universal tool that you would be using pretty much anywhere you go as a SOC analyst. We're going to set that up today, and in the second part of that series, we're going to learn how to set up the logging portion on a host system that's going to forward all those logs and complete that lab setup for you. So hang in there. Let's go ahead and get started and get your SIEM set up so you can get your foot in the door and start your cybersecurity career. All right, so starting off here, we have an Ubuntu system. This system, I downloaded a VM from osboxes.org, which you see here, and they have pre-built systems for pretty much any type of free operating system out there. So check it out. I highly recommend it. They keep them updated to the latest version. So the password, in case you're wondering, it should be in the description once you set up the virtual machine, but it is exactly what you see here, osboxes.org. So let's type that in. All right, we have it up here. So to get started, we're going to have to do some updates, install a few things, set up configurations, but at the end, we're going to have that SIEM ready to go. Let's go ahead and open up a terminal that we're going to be utilizing to do all this fun stuff. I just simply right-click, open in terminal, and now we have a terminal. Now we can start running all those commands. All right, the first step is we need to do some basic stuff, an update, grab some certificates, all that fun stuff, and I'm just going to copy and paste. I'll leave it here for a second so folks can type it in. And again, it's going to ask for our password. Just type it in, and then it's going to run and do its thing. Should be relatively quick, especially if you've downloaded the latest version of Ubuntu. Mine is a little bit older. I think it's about a month old, but no issues here. All right, next part. We need to start chipping away at Elastic. So the order of operations here is Elastic, then Kibana. So these are the two pieces that we need to get the SIEM going. And the final piece is the beats. Beats is how we're going to collect those logs and ship them. So some of you may have heard ELK, an ELK stack. This is what it is, but it's a modern version where it's ELB. I don't know what the new acronym is, but it's Elastic, Kibana, so EK, and then beats. The L before an ELK used to be Logstash, but they've done away with that now, and we're using beats. So it is a little bit different, so maybe EBK, whatever. So you make up your own acronym. Let me know in the comments what acronym you came up with. But yeah, so that's it. So we need Elastic, Kibana. We'll do beats later. In the second part, let's go ahead and get started with the first part, which is Elastic. All right. So first part, and we'll copy. We have this updater here. We'll get it out the way. I'm not worried about it right now. So we have some key rings here we need to set up. And we got a couple of curl, and then we're going to modify the key. That's the first part. Next part is we need to set some stuff up and then do a proper update again. I'm not sure why it actually has us do an update twice, but we got the key. It's probably setting it up so we can pull the updated version here. That's fine. Next part is the actual install of Elasticsearch. So I tried to install Elasticsearch, and we have an issue here where it says could not lock whatever front end and it's being held by a process. And I'm not sure what's going on with it. I'm not an admin by any means. But what it does is it prevents us from doing what we need to. I have sat for 10 minutes waiting on it, and it doesn't resolve. So what I simply do is just do a hard restart. We'll try a shutdown here. Shutdown should do it. That should release it. And let me just make sure my screen share is still going. So we did a hard shutdown. This should release the lock. I don't know what's causing it, but this is an easy fix. You know, I could spend a lot of time investigating why we're getting that issue. I don't know. I don't care. I can fix it without having to actually truly understand the problem. So let's go ahead and get our terminal session again. All right, so we have our terminal session again, and we'll go ahead and install Elastic. This may take a little bit, so we will let it do its thing, and then we'll pick up the video once it's done. All right, now that that is done, we can go ahead and do our configurations that we need to do to make Elastic work the way we need it to, so that we can allow logs to come in from other hosts that we have in our virtual environment. So let's do that. I am electing to use Nano because I don't care which one I use, but we do have some hardcore Vim people out there. Feel free to use Vim if that's your thing. Now we're going to scroll through here and look for the lines in the config that we actually need to modify. So the first one should be network host is what we're looking for, which is right here. And so we do have an IP here. We're just going to change it to 000. This should allow external folks to be able to see it. And then the last thing here is going to be the port. Port is going to be okay. We just need to uncomment it. And now we have port 9200 that it will use. So now that is it. Just two lines that we need to modify. And we're going to save and exit. So we're going to save with Control O. So the letter O. And we're going to hit enter because it's asking us what the file name is. We don't want to change the file name, so we'll leave it exactly the same. It's written. And we do Control X to leave that configuration, and we're done. Now we just need to set up the service for Elastic and get it enabled. Services are great because this is kind of what allows it to do its thing in the background without us having to start it up every time we restart our VM, right? So we want it to be kind of self-running, and we'll just hit enter, let it do its thing. It should be super quick. Great. Now that the service is connected, we need to reset the password for Elastic so that we can utilize that account to do all the other things we need to do. What I'm going to do is open up a notepad so that we can paste it somewhere and utilize it. So we will do that by hitting this little button in the lower left. We'll open up the text editor. I'm gonna just move it over here to the right a little bit. And now we will reset the password. Hit enter. And it should do its thing. It's going to ask us if we want to confirm. The answer is, of course, yes. And it's done. We can see here at the bottom that it has reset. I'm going to just copy all this information and save it over here. We'll use it later. Next piece. Now that that is done, guess what? We now get to just double check to make sure Elastic is working. So we'll do that with a simple curl. We'll paste that right in here. And we can use our password again. And this is just going to help us ensure that it is in fact working. If we get this response or something similar to it, we know it is in fact working, so we can see the version and we can see the little tagline here. Elastic is indeed working for us. So we're ready for the Kibana piece of this puzzle. All right, so we're going to install Kibana pretty much the same way, where we're going to use the repos to do it. We'll just paste in the command here, apt-get install Kibana, and the TAC-Y, in case you didn't know, just says to say yes to any prompt that comes up. We'll hit enter. This is going to take a while. We'll let it do its thing, and then we'll pick up after it's done. All right, we're done. It has completed the install. We're ready to configure it, much like we did with Elastic, to get it to start working for us. So let's start the configuration piece. All right, first part is we need to go into the config file, and that's in etc Kibana YAML. Hit enter. We're in Nano again. Again, use your favorite editor, whatever you want it to be. We only need to modify two lines. This is going to be the server.host and server.port. So again, very similar to Elastic. First one's up here, server.port. We want 5601, which is what it is by default. And now we need server host. Notice that it says local host. We need to modify this to be 0.0.0, just like the other one. so that other hosts can access it as well. That's it. We're done here. Now we need to save with Control O. Hit enter because again, we don't want to change the file name. And then we'll do Control X to exit. All done. Configurations are now complete. Now we need to set up a token that we'll use later. So make sure you don't lose it, that you do keep this handy in your notepad for later. All right, let's get started. Pretty simple command here. And we hit enter with it, and it should be pretty quick. So we can see here enrollment token. And I will keep this for later. So we'll just add it to another line here. And then we are ready to start Kibana. So let's do it. We have now started the Kibana service. Let's log in now. Our favorite part, right? Let's log in. We can use whatever browser that you have available. And what we're going to do is just navigate to our port. So it's going to be, we'll say 0.0.0. You can use any reference to this local system. So it could be loopback, could be 0, it could be the actual IP, doesn't matter. Type it in. And then we just need to modify for 5601. And if you did it right, so again, for those of you who are pretty brand new to the space, we use it to designate which port that web service is running on. So in this case, 5601. And, I guess this is a fun thing here. You can run services on whatever port you want, and different ones are going to run on different ports by default. This just happens to be how this one runs. So don't be worried if you're wondering why it's not on 80 or 443. That's just the common usage. It doesn't have to be there. All right, let's do what we need to do over here and keep chugging. Now we are going to take the enrollment token and paste it right here where it asks us to. And we can hit configure Elastic once it's in there. Now it's going to ask us for a verification code. We need to generate that really quick. We can do that with this command right here. So we'll move this to the side, go back in our terminal window to generate our code. We'll hit enter and we can see the code right here. And we'll just type it right in. So 458-754. Yes, I did a little pecking there. And we typed it in and it accepted it. Once this is done, we should be good. So just give it a few moments. It'll do all the things it needs to do. And then we should see it load up and ask us for a username and password. Now, again, we just used the account that we reset earlier, so Elastic with that password, and we should be able to log in if we did everything correct. Oh, had a little delay there. So I'm just using Control C, Control V if you haven't learned about those shortcuts yet. And that's it. I'll click Explore on my own. There are integrations you can add here. You don't need them, but they could be fun, something for you to play with later. And that's it. We now have Elastic and Kibana running. We are ready to start our lab journey. So with that, you're ready to go. Part 2, we'll set up victim systems that we can utilize to do some of that purple teaming, some exploration, and really get some experience on both the offensive side, the defensive side, and learn how to do all the fun things. So if there are any questions, anything else you want me to dig into, leave them in the comments below. If you like this video or found it useful, make sure you share it out there. Let other folks know we are doing cool stuff in the lab. With that, we'll see you in the next video.